All right. Okay, so
So,
let's see. I can share the picture. Let's do it that way. Do you see the picture?
yeah, that's him up in the back, second from the left.
Got it right there. Yeah.
Yep. And the gentleman over here is an actor friend named Joey Walsh, who Elliot and I still keep in contact with.
Oh, okay.
And who's missing in the picture? Let's see. Kenny Walken, Chris Walken's older brother, and Timmy Everett, who is a dancer, choreographer par excellence. So, and Mrs. Nerens was all our math teacher. I think she's still alive. She's like in her late 90s.
Oh, okay.
She was is an extraordinary lady. So this, I graduated eighth grade. So dad was 3 years older than I am.
Okay.
55. This is my eighth grade, and this is his junior year.
Okay.
So do
That's where
you
you guys,
know? Go ahead.
that's where you met?
I met him probably a little earlier than that, but yeah, we met at PCS. You know that your dad was the bat boy for the New York Giants, right?
That I know. Yeah, I have the picture of him and Willie Mays.
Oh, you have to send it to me.
Oh,
He did that in 1952 and 53. The only 2 years the Giants didn't go to the World Series. They
bummer.
went, they went in 51 and 54.
That's funny.
But I met him right after that. Matter of fact, we competed for a role that I actually got. It was a radio show called Hilltop House. And I remember the last time I was there for the audition, Gene and I were sitting in the outer room waiting to go in. So we never competed really because he was like 4 years older than I am. But my fondest recollections of your dad was we played baseball together. We played softball together in the Broadway Show League with Warren and Elliot. And he was an amazing athlete. I don't know if you know that. I mean, an amazing athlete. You know anything about baseball at all?
I mean, he was the coach for my dad and my brother. I'm sorry, my brother. And
Right.
my brother was pretty good. So I assume he inherited it from
He
him.
did. He
Okay.
did. Gene had the capacity. He played shortstop. And I'll try to make it easy for you. When a shortstop, there's two people on that side of the infield, the shortstop and the third baseman, right? And Gene had an amazing capacity to go to his right. A ball hit between me, I'm a third baseman, between me and shortstop, way behind me, catch the ball and jump straight up in the air and throw the ball in midair. It really, there are very few people who can do that. And Gene always could do that. So we played together in our dream infield when we were playing in the Broadway Show League, or I put a team together called Jonas Schimmel's Traveling Knishes. And Elliot didn't play in that, but Elliot in the dream infield Elliot was at first, Warren played second, Dad played short, and I played third. And then we used to also play, he and I, touch football. He was also a very good quarterback. He had a really strong arm. And we used to play touch football in Central Park. And those are my real experiences. And when I moved to California, obviously between Warren and Elliot, we all kind of hung out together. And I remember he was living, after he and your mother parted, he was living at some little kind of, I don't know what that place was. It was like a
Oh,
garden.
Horace Heights Estates with the golf course.
Yeah, which was the name of it?
Horace Heights Estates in
That's correct.
Sherman Oaks.
I didn't know it was a golf course there, but I remember visiting him there once or twice. And then, of course, when he passed, it was so sad. I was there. I spoke a little bit, I think, at the funeral. But I have very fond memories of Gene. Did you know that his real name was Steiner?
I did, yeah. And he had a brother, a half brother
I didn't know that.
that he barely knew. So Steiner moved, I think, to Florida and remarried and then had another child. Um, I can't remember. I think his name is Mark. So that man's wife found me through what is it?
Ancestry?
Yeah. So
Uh,
we've been in touch in the last couple of years. I haven't met them yet, but I have two half I guess I have a half uncle and half cousins.
So you were 19 when he died?
I was 15.
15?
Yeah, he died in 93.
And your brother was how old?
He was 13.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's the last time I saw you at,
Okay.
at
At
the
the
funeral.
funeral. And then you moved
Yeah.
back, or you?
No, I stayed there, but I lost touch with mom and I lost touch with, I was in California from 75 till I moved to here to Atlanta 3 years ago.
Oh,
Raised
okay.
all my kids there and then moved here 3 years ago.
Mm.
Make a movie about a baseball player of all things.
Oh,
A
okay,
great baseball
cool.
player named Ernie Banks, who was a very famous baseball player for the Cubs. But I have very fond memories of your dad. And I also don't have it anymore. And maybe you have a copy, or maybe you don't even know that he wrote a book of poetry.
I do have some, yeah, some of his stuff.
It's like a brown cover, I think, if I remember correctly. He gave me a copy, and God knows where
Mhm.
it is.
It was like the quartet or quintet or something like that.
Yeah, ask your mother. She probably has a copy of it.
Yeah, I have it
I
in
would,
storage.
yeah,
Yeah,
but he was writing poetry at the time, and he was, oh, I just remembered, he was an assistant director. He worked on
yeah,
a lot of AD. That's what he made the transition from to
yeah.
AD. And I didn't really kind of know him or work with him during that time.
You
But
were in the film industry at that time too?
well, I started as a kid actor
Uh-huh.
and went to PCS all that time, and moved to California in 75 and worked for 3 years as an actor again.
Okay.
And then in 1978, I opened a management company representing actors and writers and directors. Did
Mm.
that for 43 years.
Oh,
So 78, I
okay.
started that. And then,
Okay.
of course, we all played ball together. And I put a team together called Jonas Schimmel's Traveling Canisius. Yeah, there was a movie called Bingo Long and the Traveling All-Stars
That's a big stuff.
about this black
I
baseball.
remember him playing baseball. Where did you guys play? In the Valley?
Yep,
Yeah, I
in the
remember.
Valley, all the time. And David Berlinger and Edward Berlinger come out, and Warren and me, and I put this team together, and it was
How
a lot
fun.
of fun.
And
Really a
as
lot.
an adult, he was still able to do the jumping and throwing in the air?
Yeah, I mean, if you ever ask anybody who's really proficient about baseball, is your brother still, you are in contact with your brother
No,
at all?
he's cut himself off from everybody.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Was there a reason?
I don't know, maybe just all the accumulated trauma of losing
Yeah.
a dad and living with me.
So I'm sorry to hear that, but
Yeah, well, hopefully
uh,
it'll come around, but yeah, I don't, unfortunately, he doesn't talk to nobody.
do you know where he is? Anybody know?
My mom had a private investigator who was keeping tabs on him, and last we heard he was in Northern California, like Santa Rosa or maybe something out like that out there.
Mhm.
But that's all we
So I'm
know.
sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to
Yeah,
hear that. Dad would be upset to hear that.
yeah, for
Tell
sure.
me about last time I remember Elliot talked to me about you. You were in Queens. Were you getting a law degree or something?
Exactly. Yeah. So in
Tell me about that.
2005, I left LA. I got my bachelor's degree in UC Santa Cruz, and then I came back to LA for 5 years and worked in the nonprofit gang and violence prevention world. And then I went to law school at CUNY, Queens.
Okay.
And then I graduated in 2008 and eventually went out on my own. And now I have my own practice. And I live
What,
in
do
Long
you- what,
Island.
what kind of law do you practice?
Now I do real estate, estate planning, a little bit of evictions, and a little bit of immigration.
Very nice. Very
Yeah.
nice.
So
And you're out, you live in Queens still?
no, I lived in Brooklyn until I had my kids. And then once I had the two kids and we were, a family of four in a two small apartment in Brooklyn in Crown Heights, we moved to Long Island. So now we're in Franklin Square.
Oh, cool, cool.
Yeah.
And so you're visiting mom? Is that what you're out there for?
Yeah. Mom and friends. Yeah.
Very good. Did you tell her we were going to speak?
I didn't. No, I'll
Oh,
let
you
her
have to,
know though.
you
Yeah, of
have to
course.
tell her and send her my love.
Yeah.
I was looking, I have about 4,000 pictures from the old days, when
Wow.
and I had one picture I'll never forget if I can find it.
Okay.
Tell your mother this, of Judy and Jean sitting on a park bench and a baseball field in a mad kiss, just hugging me
Aw.
like this real big, this one of these, you know. And if I could find it, I'll send it to you, because Judy came to all the games before. I don't even know if they were married. I think they were dating at the time.
Probably,
This
yeah.
is back in the late 60s. I don't know what year she met your dad. You'll have to ask her.
I
But
know
it
they
feels like,
married in 71.
okay, but where? In LA or in New York?
Probably on the East Coast, because I remember the family was there. Yeah, the East Coast. Yeah.
Okay, well then this would have been, it had to be earlier than that. It was in the 60s. Ask her when she
Met
met
him.
him in New York, and tell
Yeah.
her I have a picture somewhere of
Okay.
her and him smooching on a bench.
Cute.
I hope I can find it. It's, you know, very old.
Yeah.
But what do you want to know? What else can I tell you about your dad? I miss.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe a little bit about his personality. It's like I only knew him really as a dad. I remember he was a little, I don't know what the word is, like esoteric. Like he had stories about the stars and theories about, space or,
I don't know that part of him, and that's why I'd love to read his prose again and
mm,
see what his poetry says, because that's probably more revealing than
ah,
anything that he put on a page. I remember my relationship with dad was, we were jocks, and we were, I remember once we were driving up to where he lived in the Bronx. This is way back. We were teenagers, and Warren had this Mercury convertible, and we were driving up to Gene's for a party, and he was dating a girl named Lorna Gillum at the time, Warren. And I remember going that day, I was probably 13 or 14, and Warren was on the Major Deacon, and he hit a bump at 100 miles an hour. I thought,
ah.
killed. But I remember that apartment. We went up there once because Gene had some parties. But I would say, if I could describe Gene off the field, because on the field we were both very intense,
Mm,
competitive, and loud. We were
yeah,
loud on the
I
ball field.
remember him like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was I talked a lot on the baseball field, and Gene was right next to me, so we were chatting a lot. But I think in his quieter moments, just kind of smile, not big laugh. Never heard him really laugh,
Mm,
but it just a smile on his face. And he seemed to know some things I didn't know. I didn't
mm,
know what he was thinking, but we never got into deep
mm.
philosophical. You might ask Elliot about that.
Okay.
Fortunately, Warren is no longer with us, which is just tragic.
Yeah.
But Warren and he were very close,
Hmm.
very, very close. Probably closer than Elliot, and closer in life experience, I think, than with Elliot. But I remember many times going over to your parents, and again, it was on Cohanga Road.
Oh, okay.
Ask Mom about that apartment. I
Okay.
remember going there, and just very easygoing, right? Smile, easygoing, low key. I had no idea he had a heart problem. Had no idea at all,
Yeah.
because he was so athletic, you know.
Yeah.
And I remember the day I got a call from Warren or Betty. I can't remember. It was tragic. Just
Yeah.
tragic. Horace Height. That's where he was living when.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. He was 55 when he died, so it's pretty
How
young.
old? 55. Oh
Yeah.
my God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Terrible. But
And
other
back
than,
then they didn't have the good insurance. So he had had a minor heart attack 6 months before.
oh really?
And he was having like the typical, back pain that didn't know what that was. And so they took him and they found he had two bad arteries back then. And now I think they call them stents, but back then they called them angioplasties.
Right.
So they gave him one, they fixed the one, they said, according to my mom, the insurance would only cover the emergency surgery,
Really?
which was the one bad one, but he still had another bad artery. They told him he needed to come back in to do more surgery. So once he recovered, he tried to get the surgery, but he needed a referral from a doctor. But because he had a pre-existing condition, he couldn't get insurance. It was just this awful mess.
So weird, because as a member of the DGA, I would imagine he had great insurance.
Well, here's the irony. He died as a health insurance salesman.
Really?
Yes, that was his, and his focus, his target was actors and independent people who didn't, you don't get insurance
I
automatically.
didn't know that. He probably worked closely with Warren then, because Warren was in the insurance business.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
So he was never financially successful in that.
Hmm.
And so that was, I think, the problem. He couldn't afford it. So technically, what he did the first time was he put my mom and us on a plan and snuck his name on the papers. So that's how he was able to get the emergency surgery for the first heart attack.
I'm still confused why the DGA didn't give him full coverage.
Maybe he wasn't a member at that point.
Sure, he was an AD. Well, he should have had tenure, or not. Well, we don't call it tenure, but he should have invested. I
Yeah,
think he was a DGA. He was an assistant director for many, many years.
yeah. That's a good question.
Yeah, it is a good question.
Or maybe they kicked him off.
You might check. You might check yourself as an attorney and see if there are any benefits that are due the family because of his tenure with the DGA. You might check that out.
Well, he did have, I think he had a pension and there was royalties. But because I was getting the royalties for a while, but then somebody, got a new job in the royalty department and they said, you haven't probated his estate. We can't give the money to only one kid when there's two kids. And then my brother at that point wouldn't sign anything. So
Oh, dear. Wouldn't they give it to your mother next to kin?
I mean, I'd have to just go through like the formal probate process to start it at this point. So,
What a pain.
but it's
Yeah.
only, it's not a lot of money. So it's kind of, maybe one day I'll do it.
Well, there might be a pension that goes to dependents. You might
We
want to.
did get the pension. I think that paid for my college, actually.
Oh, cool, cool.
Yeah. And then when he couldn't get the health insurance because of the pre-existing condition, he contacted a cousin of mine, Ralph. I don't know if you ever met Ralph Delman.
No, no.
And he had a big window and door company, and he added my dad as an employee, which would give him the benefits, even though he wasn't on payroll. So he started to get insurance, but it didn't make it. He died 6 months later of a massive heart attack.
When was the last time you remember seeing him?
The night before.
Really?
Yeah. Here's the irony. This is one of those crazy stories, right? So I was 15. I used to take the bus to school. I used to get up at like 6 a.m. I had like my routine worked out because I slept at his house. I'd bring my clothes. I didn't have clothes at his house. I'd get dressed, eat my bowl of cereal, walk to the corner, catch my bus. And for some reason that morning, my alarm clock didn't go off. And so he had to drive me to school, which we never did. We never even spent time together. I was 15. I was embarrassed of my dad. And so we drove. It was like a 20-minute drive to school, and we were like listening to jokes. I remember he had like a corny sense of humor. He
We
like
did. We all did. We all did.
so we were listening to some jokes and laughing, and we shared a moment, and he was like, "I love you," and I was like, "I love you too."
Oh, beautiful. What a nice punctuation point.
Yes,
Imagine if you didn't have that moment.
exactly. He died the next day.
Who told you? How'd you find out?
So he died at his girlfriend's house. He was taking a shower and had the massive heart attack. So she found him in the shower.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. And so my mom, she rushed him to the hospital. I guess they couldn't revive him. So my mom picked me up from school, and I learned at school.
She told you in the car, or she told you?
At the school, because they called me out of, to come out of class.
Did
So,
you speak at his funeral? I don't remember.
yeah, I did a story of some sort. And I also, my friends, we put together a little musical because at the time I was learning piano, and he had a favorite song. I forget what it was called, Sonata or something. And I was
Moonlight Sonata? Moonlight Sonata.
maybe, yes, he did like that
Classical
one.
piece, yeah.
So it was a cello, violin, piano trio, and I was learning the piano part. And so we got together with my friend and her mom who played the cello and violin, and we played a little portion of it at the
Oh,
funeral.
how beautiful. How beautiful.
Yeah. And then my brother and I did a little speech. I don't think my brother spoke much, but
Hmm. What's your brother's first name?
Evan,
That's right.
Evan Spokman, Evan Joel. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I have fond memories, and I'm glad you bring them back to me because there are only a few of us left.
Yeah.
I'm going to be 80 in February, and Elliot's going to be 80. Let's see, 38. He's going to be 83 in August.
Wow.
Warren would have been 84 in August.
Mm.
Weird.
Yeah, they were good friends. I mean, I remember my dad talking to about you. I remember your name a lot. He cared about his friends a lot. He really,
We did too. It was a
yeah.
very private boat we were all on at
Mhm.
PBS, and that whole journey of being kid actors in the 50s and 60s. It was a very special group. And of course, Gene and I had baseball in common,
Yeah.
and we loved it. And I learned a lot from him. He was a piece of work on the field. So was I. So
Okay.
was I. You know, I say now that I open my mouth and my mother comes out when people say you talk too much. But Gene was a yapper. We chatted a lot. We were talking at the batter, at the pitcher, always talking.
Yeah.
And that was just an energy way, you know. But I
Mhm.
miss that. Would you please send me if you have any pictures of him playing ball in any capacity?
Yeah, I'll have to look. I did find a photo album. I have it with me, so I'm gonna go through it. The
See,
one of,
see if you see any of him and Elliot and Warren. I might be in one of them, you know.
yeah, gosh, I'll have to look for those.
Well, I know I got 1,000. If I find this picture of Judy and Jean on the park bench, your mother will be slightly embarrassed, but it'll be wonderful. And they were in a mad lip lock
That's so
sitting on the
cute.
bench.
Who took the picture? You?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. You were the group
I,
photographer.
I just don't know where it is, but I remember I see it vividly on the park bench, you know, right next to the ball field. They were sitting waiting. He was probably in between innings.
That's so
But
cute.
I miss him, and I'm glad you brought him back into my memory, you know.
Aw, thanks.
And I'm glad that we can share these moments together.
Yeah, and I'm glad Elliot mentioned you because like we were lost touch. So he was like, "Oh, you got to call Michael Mann." I was like, "I know that name." Yeah, he's like Michael.
I talk to Elliot every day,
Oh, really?
almost every day, yeah. And when Warren was ill, my new wife of almost a year, when I heard he had stage 4, she said, "You got to go see him." And
Mm,
I'll send you a picture that my wife Myra took the last time I saw Warren. It's just us hugging. It's one of the most beautiful pictures.
aw.
And then, of course, I would have kicked myself if I had in that moment. We all
Yeah.
went out. David, do you know the Burlington boys, kids at all? Do you know David and
I mean, I know of them, but I can't remember seeing them.
right? Yeah, so he has 4 kids:
Okay.
Lisa, David, Edward, and Elizabeth. And David being the second oldest. So we all went out to dinner, and then I had this moment with him, just beautiful. And then I flew out to put him to rest, and Elliot was there. And then David had a little thing at his house afterwards. It was during COVID. Some people were afraid to come up, and they asked me to speak
Mm,
about Warren, you know, and that wasn't easy. But at the end, because I don't know if you knew Betty, you didn't know
I
his,
knew Betty. Yeah.
you did know Betty, but
Yeah.
Betty was a piece of work, and she was wonderful. So at the end of it, sitting on this tennis court with about 100 people, I said, I can just hear Betty screaming at Warren, "What took you so long?" I ended it by saying I had to make sure the kids were okay first.
Oh.
Warren was, I'm going to start crying. You know, he was, we were blessed. We had some really, really special times because we were in this, as I said, this bubble.
Mhm.
And, you know, Warren used to come to my home in LA when I became Sabbath observant in 1980. And I'd always have Warren come for Shabbat, you know, meals on Friday night. And he would tell these outrageous stories about him and Betty and all the people he worked with. And it was really, really quite a joy. My kids really loved him,
Yeah.
really
I
loved him.
I remember him as really jolly and funny.
Exactly perfect. That's
Yeah.
exactly who he was. He was a big teddy bear,
Yeah.
big teddy
And
bear.
I remember I'd ask him to tell stories, but I don't think his memory was as good because I remember Betty would always say, he doesn't remember the stories. I know the stories. And she would tell the stories. Um,
Well, I'll give you one Warren story that I always made him tell. They met, you know, in school. They were like 16. They were working on Broadway together.
mm,
And Warren's always been a bit of a prankster. So this was like in the 50s. And they were doing, I think, Anniversary Waltz or Room Full of Roses, one of those shows on Broadway. and it was previews an opening night. And in those days, the phone was in the basement, a regular payphone. So what he would do is he would yell upstairs before the show, phone call for Betty Lou Kime. That was her maiden name, Betty Lou Kime. And she would come down like from the 4th floor.
Oh my goodness.
And she'd pick up the phone and there was nobody there. So she went up, if you knew Betty, Betty was, don't mess with Betty, okay? So she walked up to his restroom and knocked on his door and said, don't you ever do that to me again. And Warren, in his imitable way, would say, well, the gauntlet was thrown. So 2 days later, phone call for Betty Lou Kime. And she slept down again, nobody there. She went up to the door, opened the door, and he opened the door, and she threw a punch at him and almost knocked him over. I used to tell that story, and I'd be on the floor.
Oh my God.
On the floor, yeah, really very special, special stuff.
Yeah.
Leslie, I'm so glad we could meet, and when I do come to New York again, we'll miss each other this time.
Yeah.
If you're ever thinking or ever in the Atlanta area, you come here, okay?
Okay.
I don't know if you have any reason to be there, but if you ever are coming to Atlanta, you let me know, okay?
Okay.
Send me the picture. Send me the picture of Dad and Willie and anything else you can find.
Yeah, it's a big one, but I'll take a picture of the picture. And
yeah. Okay. And then if you see anything of Warren and Elliot and Dad, I might be too. And then you give Mom my love. Show her the picture from that I sent you. She'll love it.
Okay. Yeah, I'll forward it to her now. Yeah, thank you.
Les, it's been a pleasure.
You too.
Lovely memories. And it's so nice that being a father of 6, to see in memoriam you being so caring, wanting to know more about Dad,
Yeah.
I hope I've shed a little light on it for you.
Yeah, thanks. A lot of the baseball stuff I didn't know. I mean, I remember him being passionate about it, but I didn't.
He was a great ball player.
Yeah.
I don't even know how he got the job with the Giants. I think he told me once, but I have no idea. I mean, that's
probably his mom. Someone told me his mom hooked him up because she worked for someone famous, I think, as her.
But it must have been because that's a real big job.
I wonder why did he not pursue it professionally, or he did and didn't make it, or
he might have. That's a good question. He wasn't a big guy, so he might not have had the height or the power or the. And then we got in show business, and I think he just kind of drifted away from it.
Yeah.
But that was his. There are not many people I can say who were bat boy for a baseball team. He was great.
Do you remember he wrote a movie script about the USS Constitution?
No.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah, he hired a screenwriter. I'm surprised you didn't know, because I guess when you were in the industry, you were busy with your own thing, but
yeah, we were working. Yeah.
Yeah, when he was working on Mark and Mindy, I guess he'd gone to these conventions. He'd heard about this. Do you know the story of the USS Constitution? How there was a shipwreck and all these people survived.
No.
So there was a boat with a shipwreck and a bunch of people survived, surprisingly, and then they would have reunions every year for the survivors. So he just thought it was a great story, and he had a screenplay written. That was going to be his dream movie. Unfortunately, it never happened, but he had asked Robin Williams to play the main role because he knew Robin at that time because they were doing Mork and Mindy. But Robin Williams said he wanted to direct it and to buy it from him, and he wouldn't do it. He wanted to direct it. So unfortunately, it never made it anywhere.
You have the script?
I do.
Send it to me.
Okay, it's like it's in Word. It's a paper. It's a packet.
I don't care what it is. Send it to me, and I'll see if I can set it up in your father's memory. You never know.
Yeah.
You own it, right? He owns the screenplay. You own the screenplay, right?
I assume, yeah. I'll have to find it. Okay.
You're the lawyer. You'll figure it out. Send it to me. I'd love to read it. I'd love to read it, even if get a glimpse of Jane,
Okay.
Leslie, this has been wonderful. Tell me about your children quickly.
Oh, yeah. You want to meet them? Let me call them in.
Yeah.
Babies, come. I want to show you someone. Come here. Come. This is Sylvie. She's my oldest. She's 6.
Hi, Sylvie.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Michael, and I was very close with your grandfather, with your great grandfather, with mommy's grandfather. We grew up together and we played ball together and we were very close friends. That's mommy's granddad.
Mm.
Okay?
My dad, your grandpa. Grandpa
Yeah,
Papa
your
Gene.
grandpa. That's right,
Yeah.
Grandpa Gene. Yeah.
Can you tell him a little about yourself? He wants to know about you.
How old are you? How old are you?
He wants to know how old you are.
6. When's your birthday?
May 31st.
What is it?
May 31st.
Memorial Day.
That's right.
Wow, Memorial Day weekend. That's really wonderful. So you just turned 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. And do you like California? I know you live in New York, but do you like California?
Uh-huh.
Where would you rather live, in New York or California?
New York with my daddy.
Right. Very nice. Very nice. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you. And I knew mommy when she was your age. That's when I met mommy. She was your age. That's right. Yeah, maybe younger. Maybe younger.
Girl.
You were
78, yeah.
Yeah, I was born in 1978 and he knew my daddy since 40, 50s?
No, I met your dad in 52.
1952, that's so long ago.
Yeah, I was 10 years old. Your grandfather was 14. I've known him all my life. Yeah, we have very close friends. Does she know Elliot? Does she know
Not
Uncle?
yet, no. Mm-mm.
You should, when you do this with Elle, you should
Yeah.
introduce him. She'll
Okay,
love
good.
it.
Babe. Say bye-bye, my
Well,
friend.
Bye. Nice to
baby.
meet you.
Olivia, come real quick. Push pause.
So you raising these kids by yourself?
No, we still live with their dad.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so we're in separate bedrooms. Separate
You'll-
bedrooms at this point, but
Got it.
all right, this is
Well-
Olivia.
My goodness, you look like twins, you two. Hi there, Olivia.
Hi.
How old are you?
4.
And when's your birthday?
I don't know.
Well, ask mommy. She'll tell you.
January
25th.
January 25th. That's
Oh,
right.
You're an Aquarian like me. Oh, very nice. I'm a February boy.
Oh,
So I know your mommy. How old are you?
4. She's 4.
4.
Me,
I know your mom since she's your age. I met her when she was 4.
he knew
Roughly.
me as a little 4-year-old. No, don't touch, don't touch. Are you being
Really?
shy? You want to tell him a joke?
Yeah, tell me a joke.
Um, what do you call a hippopotamus with 3 legs?
What do you call a hippopotamus with 3 legs?
A walkopotamus.
A what?
A walkopotamus. She
I
made
like
that.
I like that. Very good. You should be a screenwriter or a stand-up comedian. Well, it's very nice to meet you, Olivia. I know your attention span is not too long here, but it's a pleasure to meet you. And when I come to New York, I'll see if I can call mom and dad and we can all see each other, okay?
We're in California.
I know, and I'm in Georgia, but I used to live in California. And now I live in Georgia now, but I'm from New York.
He's going to come visit us in New York one day.
Yeah, one day I am. Well, it's nice to meet you. I'm sure you're completely bored with this conversation.
Okay.
Bye.
You have grandkids?
12 grandchildren.
Wow.
12 grandchildren.
Oh,
I still have 2 more boys to get married. So I've got 6 girls and 6 boys, of which 3 live in Brooklyn, 5 in Dallas, 1 in LA, and 3 in Boca.
oh, wow. Okay.
None in Atlanta.
No. Yeah. Wow.
That's the tough part,
That is tough.
All
Yeah.
right, Les, this has been great.
Yep.
Send me some pictures. I'm going to send you a link of something I just saw that when you get home, you should sit down and watch. It's a documentary that Elliot sent to me
Okay.
called Birthday. And since you have 2 young girls, it documents a filmmaker who started videoing his daughter at age 2,
Aw.
asking her questions on her birthday. And then for the next 16 years till she was 18, he documented the same questions as she grew up. And he never looked at them until after her 18th birthday. It's one of the most, Ellie sent it to me. I was I was overwhelmed by it. But grazing two little girls, this would be incredible for you to see. Okay,
Okay.
I'll send it to you. So when are you going back to New York?
The 26th. So I have
Alright.
another week here, week and a
I'll
half.
send it to you, and you know, you should watch it undisturbed. It's really
Oh, okay, thanks.
a pleasure.
Equal, yeah, equal.
Love to Mom. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Les. Be
All
well.
right, bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.